Hi everybody, my name is David, and today I'm going to show you how to do 808 bass, the classic style hip hop 808 bass, two different ways. So stay tuned. Here we go. So you may be familiar with the 808 bass style. It's been a staple of hip hop almost since the beginning. And today I'm going to show you how to make it both in the Retrologue synthesizer and by stretch tuning a sample across a couple octaves and then using that as your bass. So let's get right into it. So we'll start by showing you the synthesizer way to do it. We'll start with the Retrologue, and we just got our patch on. That's a saw wave. Very lovely. But we're going to want a sine wave for this. So down here in the bass octave, we're almost there. We're going to need some modulation, and the modulation we want is to modulate our filter envelope with pitch. And then we're going to need to affect our filter envelope here by turning the sustain all the way down. The release should be okay at around 30. Decay at around 30. That sounds good. And then the depth of this needs to go up. So there we go. And we have an 808 sound. That's about all we need. This sustain can come down on the amp as well. And then that may not be loud enough for you. So we can turn up the amplifier level. And we have ourselves an 808 bass. So to go through the steps again, what you do is you switch it to sine wave. You set your source for your modulation as the filter envelope, the destination for the filter for the modulation as the pitch. Then you bump up the depth of this modulation to pretty high. You leave your decay pretty low, and you take down your sustain and your attack. And then you also take down your sustain on your amplifier. You boost the level, and you have yourself an 808 sounding bass. So let's move on to stretch tuning a sample. And in order to do this, I'll do battery. I honestly looked, honest to God, in the media bay, and I could not find any 808 samples that come with Steinberg's Cubase. So I'm using the 808 samples. You notice that come in battery, which is a Native Instruments product. I'll link to that in the description. But if you notice, I have kick selected on the samples tab and 808 searched for. And I think I'm going to use 26 because I looked at all of them. 5 is pretty good. 6 is okay. 25 is okay. I think I'll use 24. So in battery, if you want to stretch something across a key range, you do it right here where it says key range. And I'll just give myself 2 octaves, C1 to C3. And that'll give me 2 octaves for bass. You could do it as much as you want. And there's one more thing you have to do. You have to go to the setup tab and hit key track, and then it'll track. And in battery, all the samples are like terribly too loud. So even at negative 6.7, that's more about where I want it, negative 11 or so. It baffles my mind sometimes where it's like, I think that when we load it up, it's going to be the loudest thing on the track by far. Why people think that that's cool or okay, but they do. So yeah, we have our 808 kick, so we can hear the differences between the two, the nuances. There's Retrologue. So we can get back into Retrologue and turn it up a little more to match volumes. And all that's left to do is use both of these in a track. So let's just record something. And we'll quantize that at 16th or so. There we go. That's what I wanted. And we'll just check them both in the track. So we'll just copy one to the other and we're good to go. And so we have our bass recorded. Here's Retrologue. With a little beat that I recorded before the tutorial. And of course we could add like a synth lead. And we have ourselves a pretty convincing loop to start off with. And here's how it would sound in battery, and I'm going to show you one more thing you have to do in battery to get your 808s going, because let's listen to this. Do you hear that? It's out of tune. The 808 sample is out of tune. And I have done some serious soul searching here with battery. And let me give you the pro tip. I'm going to write it in big letters on the screen. 5.75 or negative 6.25 is what you want. So with the tuning at 0, we can take a look. I have a tuner in here on my audio inserts for this battery track. So you need to tune your 808s or else they'll sound like crud. So I'll hit this low C and it's G flat and some change. Here's a little pro tip, and I'm going to put it on the screen because it's important. In battery, you either want plus 5.75 or negative 6.25 with your 808 kicks. That's what I have to tune it, and it works for all the samples. So here's my C. C is C. Almost. It's about 10 cents short. So 10 cents flat, so we could do negative 6.2. So you'll have to work with that, but you want it to be right around C. And then if you notice, when I go back to the track, it'll be in tune now. Let's just bump it up an octave so that it sounds a little bit better. So you'll notice that's the difference between an in tune and out of tune 808. That's out of tune, and this is in tune. And here on Retrologue, it automatically stays in tune because you're using a synth. So this has been 2 ways to do your 808 basses in Cubase using Retrologue, which is included with Cubase, and then Battery 4, which is a sampler provided by Native Instruments in their Komplete 11 package, which I will link to below. I hope you found this tutorial useful. If you have, feel free to like or subscribe, and have a good day, everybody. Bye. And we have ourselves a pretty convincing loop